Hello, welcome. My name is Anvesh Rajal. I'm going to show you how easy it is to build connections with JIRA using MuleSoft. So I have this built out. It's two very simple use cases, and I just want to walk them through it. What I did is I downloaded one of these JIRA connectors, and depending on what version you're using, from what I found out is starting in JIRA 7, the old SOAP services is deprecated, so you're going to want to find the JIRA REST connector and use it. So the first step here, what I did is I downloaded this, I dragged and dropped my HTTP endpoint that's going to listen on this path for getting issue. And then one of the issues that I ran into is that it was complaining that my MIME type wasn't set correctly. So I had to add this additional step, this groovy step, to set the MIME type to JSON. And then, oh, it looks like I'm passing something, but this is a GET, so the payload really doesn't matter. Just make sure that you set the MIME type to application.json. And then my JIRA REST connector, what it's doing is basically searching for this issue ID, and I have my basic configuration authentication set up where I passed in username and server URL. Let me just quickly make sure my connection, yep, looks like my connection is successful, and I'll show you what the format of that server URL here is in a minute. So what this is going to do is simply do a GET on this particular issue key and then return me some data. And then if you want to take a look at the syntax, yeah, here it is. So I have a username and then an endpoint of my JIRA instance, which is running in the cloud. So yeah, looks like my application is running. So what I'm going to do is go into Postman, and this is deployed to 8081. I'm just going to hit quick send, and over here on the right I will be able to see my data return, and here it is. It's actually pretty massive. If I waited long enough, it'll ask me to download this JSON response, but it's just fairly straightforward. So the next thing I wanted to do is now create a post to actually create an issue. So in this case, very similar. I have a HTTP listener that's going to do a post on create an issue. One of the requirements when I was trying to call this from Postman was it was forcing me to put in content type as application.json on the header, and I tried doing that here, but that didn't seem to like it. So that's one of the gotchas. That's why I'm using this groovy script again, just to set this MIME type, right? And then if I expand this, I wanted to show you that the payload, I'm actually defining the payload here. So this value is my payload, and because it's a multi-string, I'm just returning the multi-string. So I'm basically using the groovy script to define a multi-line payload and specifying the MIME type here. And then I learned that the JIRA REST connector is actually expecting the payload in the form of Java linked list. So I had to quickly build a transformer. Again, it's very simple. All I wanted to say was, hey, convert this into a Java payload. I know there's a couple other ways I could have got here, but yeah, this is not too complicated. So I have my payload, set my MIME type, and then transfer this into Java, and then ultimately call my JIRA REST to create that issue. So if I expand this, here, these are some of the operations that are available, and I picked on create issue, and instead of building the object here, I'm just saying use the default, which is going to be the payload. Okay, and once everything's done, I want you to log this just so that I can see that it happened. Okay, so for me to run this, what I can now do is go to my Postman again and do a post. Thought I had one here. It's fine. I'm just gonna call a post and then create issue, because the payload is already in the flow. I don't need to specify here anymore. Now it actually made that call. When I go in and look at my console, there it is. Looks like it created it. And then if I look at the key here, the value that it returns is going to be my issue number. Okay, so if I switch over to my issues, in here I had, these issues created. That's part of my project here called DBP1345, and I refresh it. It's going to go from 260 to 261, and then this is that issue that I just created as part of my post. Okay, well, thanks for your time.